G'day everybody and welcome back to the PokeStraya YouTube channel. I'm Jordan Bamford and today I'm bringing you the first episode of the Deck Breakdown, a new series to the channel where I'll be taking an in-depth look into a couple of different standard decks that I think are probably top tier. As you can see today, we're taking a look at Mega Rayquaza. Now this is actually a three-part series. I'm going to take a look at a couple of different Mega Rayquaza builds and talk about Mega Rayquaza as a whole. This in particular is Mega Rayquaza Water. So like Manaphy and stuff. I'll show you the deck in just a moment. I played this deck at a locals this week. I went 2-1. My loss was because I had to go to work. If you're on our Instagram, which would be surprising because not many people are, at PokeStraya, I posted the list there already. It's the same list. I'm also going to go through a couple of cards I would change with this deck. After playing it, I think there's a lot that can be changed with this deck. So we're going to jump straight in. So my only loss was I was going to be playing against a Giratina Vileplume deck, which is not a great matchup. It was in the last round. Giratina Vileplume, not a great matchup for me, and we were going to try and play it out, see if I could finish in time, but I had to go. Game 1 I actually prized my only Hex and Lysander, so you know, it was pretty hard for me to come back from that. Anyway, let's jump in. Oh, my wins. I'll talk about my wins just quickly. Was against Yveltal and Mega Mewtwo. Mega Mewtwo played 2 Parallel City, still able to overcome it. So yeah, let's jump in and have a look at this build. So we can start with 3 Mega Rayquaza. Emerald Break, 30 times the number of your bench Pokemon. With the Skyfield, you can have up to 8. 240 damage with this Mega Rayquaza if you have a full bench. You don't really want to have a full bench though in most circumstances. So it's also got the Emerald Evolution trait. So it essentially allows Mega Rayquaza to evolve on your first turn or the turn that you play one of these Rayquaza EXs. I play a 3-3 Mega Rayquaza line. You want to play the colorless version. It's just a bit better than that a lot better than the Dragon version. The Dragon version was good and was kind of the only way to play Mega Rayquaza last format when we had Night March running around, but as long as Night March isn't in the format, you should feel pretty safe playing this guy here. So the first time you play this Rayquaza down, you can Mega Evolve it. It's kind of where Mega Rayquaza's speed comes from. Also, I just want to quickly note, if you are trying to build on a budget, this is not a deck for you because this deck plays 4 Shaman EX. 4 Shaman is needed. Don't try and cut it. You just won't have the same success with the deck. 4 Shaman is definitely a necessity with Mega Rayquaza. The setup ability just allows you to draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Mega Rayquaza is all about speed, so you really do want this 4 Shaman in here. Next we have 1 Manaphy EX. Its ability Aqua Tube just allows any Pokemon with water energies free retreat. It's a great bench sitter. It allows you to quickly retreat a damaged Rayquaza into a new one, and as long as AZ is not in the format anymore, it's probably our best bet as retreating, getting a Mega Rayquaza off the active position. You don't really want to be discarding energies. Switch is too situational. You can't Ninja Boy a Mega Rayquaza, so I think Manaphy is probably the best bet for us here. We then play 1 Glaceon EX. I played this expecting a lot more Raichu and Zebstrika than what I did, and honestly if I was to take this to an event, I would cut my losses, not play the Glaceon, and just take my loss to the Raichu or Zebstrika. Even then it's not too bad. I think if you're able to play some certain cards here, you might have a good Zebstrika and Raichu matchup. It's still going to be heavily in their favour, but there's certain things that you can do to try and swing it in your favour a bit more. So I then play a 1-1 Zoroark line. I felt like being able to stand in with a water energy and free retreat was really nice. I didn't use Zoroark at all. It was quite useless to say the least. But it can be a backup attacker as well. I think if you want to play Zoroark, you should probably play it as a 2-2 line. I then played 1 Jirachi Stardust for the Giratina matchup. When I finally got this thing down in the Giratina matchup, I couldn't find an energy to save me, so what are you going to do? I think if I was to ever try this deck again, which I probably will, I really enjoy Mega Rayquaza, this would probably become a Pokemon Ranger, a card that not many people are really talking about too much. A lot of people put in their Rayquaza decks and then they take it out straight away because they don't like it. But yeah, I'll talk more about that when I do the cards I would change. And then 2 Hooper EX to round out the Pokemon. You could also play 3 if you really wanted to. I find 3 a bit too clunky, especially if you're playing only 3 Rayquazas. The chances of you starting with Hooper are a lot higher then. But yeah, you can if you really want to. Hooper's great, just allows you to get whatever EX Pokemon that you want. Usually you want to take a Rayquaza. If you've got the Spirit Link down, you might want to take a Mega, a Shaman, a Manaphy. Even the Glaceon if you really need it, but it's not really required at all. I didn't attack with Glaceon at all either. It was one of those Pokemon that just kind of did nothing for me. Onto supporters, we play 3 Sycamore. You don't need a 4th in here. You probably don't even need the 3rd, to be honest with you. Mega Rayquaza is so quick. With 4 Shamans, you don't really need this 3 Sycamore. You could probably get away with 2, but I still felt like 3 was probably best. Honestly, there's not much you can say about Sycamore, great supporter. 2N, I was a little iffy to put this at 2, because I originally had it at 1. I just felt like I needed another option for draw support and shuffle draw. Rayquaza tends to take an early lead in the game, so N late game is not very good. So I think I might try and drop this down to 1, possibly find some room for some other cards, but we'll talk about that again later as a possible option. 1 Lysander, because we don't really have the room for the 2nd, and you should honestly, with a 4 Shaman, be able to draw the VSE kit to reuse the Lysander. And 1 Hexmaniac. Hexmaniac, there's not much I can say about that. Turn 1 Hexmaniac with Mega Rayquaza is fantastic. Onto the other training cards that we play in the deck. 4 VS Seekers, just get back our supporters. Standard card. 4 Ultra Ball, again a standard card. Ultra Ball for Hooper is really nice. Ultra Ball for Shaman. Ultra Ball for whatever you need, really. Ultra Ball for Hooper first turn is what you aim to do. Then Ultra Ball later in the game for Shamans. If your Skyfield gets bumped, you can Ultra Ball for a Hooper, play another Skyfield and get 2 more EXs out there. 3 Trainers Mail because we didn't really have room for a 4th. 3 Acrobikes. With Battle Compressor rotating, it's a lot harder to get energy in the discard pile. Acrobike does allow us to do that to a degree. Sometimes you might Acrobike and then see 2 double colorless energies, which sucks. It was just kind of another way to add some more speed to the deck and try and get some energies in the discard pile easier. But honestly, it didn't really work out too much. A lot of the times I was having to make tough calls as to what to discard, and usually would come back to bite me. There was never, I don't think I ever hit a good Acrobike where I could easily take a card. I think I had to debate long and hard on all of my Acrobikes. 3 Mega Turbos. Again, first turn Mega Rayquaza is what you aim for here. If you're able to get a DCE, Mega Evolve, Mega Turbo, that's fantastic. That's the dream with Mega Rayquaza. 2 Super Rod, because Parallel City's a thing, bumping Skyfield's a thing. It sucks, but it does happen. Just Super Rodding in, like a Hooper, a Shaman, Rayquaza, something like that when your Skyfield does get bumped. It's really good. You really need to play conservative with this deck. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best Mega Rayquaza player at all. I feel like I'm really bad with the deck. I usually bench too much and then a Parallel City hits me, I'm like, oh, okay. So 2 Super Rod, until Karen gets printed, I think it would be 1 Super Rod, 1 Karen, or maybe even stay with the 2 Super Rod. It would be easy if we had Sacred Ash still in the format, that would be great, but we don't, so 2 Super Rod, it's just our way of getting Pokemon back when our Skyfield gets bumped. 1 Special Charge, just to get back DCEs. I felt myself when testing this deck before the event, it was honestly sycamoring away like 1 DCE in my first turn, or having to Ultra Ball away or DCE, which does suck. Special Charge honestly is great. I used it a lot. I think it's one of the cards that I think should really be in Rayquaza, especially if you want to be able to keep a consistent stream of Mega Rayquazas going. 3 Spirit Links, because we're only playing a 3-3 line. Didn't feel the need for a 4th. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. 1 Floatstone. I know I'm playing the Manaphy. I felt like going into this event, I'm like, well, if I start Hooper, I'm going to have to attach an energy. I'm not going to get that first turn Mega Rayquaza. Floatstone will do the job, and honestly, you don't need Floatstone in here. I think it was quite useless to play it. Usually you'd get the Manaphy down, it's okay if you miss a turn, it doesn't matter. I think I started Hooper once out of all the games I played. For Skyfield, just because you want to be able to win the Stadium Wars. If your opponent's playing like 3 Rough Seas or 2 Parallel Cities, you want to be able to counter that with Skyfields almost instantly. And onto the energy, we play 4 DCE and 4 Water Energy to round out the deck. So this is the build that I took to a locals, going 2-1 with. I think it does need a lot of work, which I'm going to show you in just one moment. I'm going to stop the video now, change some cards over, show you what I would change with this deck. And we are back with some changes made to the deck. I still don't think this is probably the best build for it. I think there are definitely Mega Rayquaza builds that I prefer over Quasar Water. But anyway, let's take a look at the cards that were cut from the deck after I played with it the other day. I've been changing a couple of things. I think this is probably as good as I'd like it to be. However, I think there are definitely some better Rayquaza builds out there. So we cut the N, 1 N, an Acrobike, a Jirachi, Zorua, Zoroark, Flukestone, and Glaceon EX. We've made, so there's 7 cards gone. We've made 6 changes to the deck because there are 3 cards that I think could take up the 7th spot. So starting off, we've put a 4th Rayquaza in. You just want to better your chances of starting with that Rayquaza over starting with a Hooper or Shaman. Especially now that we're not playing the Floatstone, you can't really have that explosive first turn. You really want to start with Rayquaza. This is a proxy. I don't have the 4th Quasar with me. So 4 Rayquaza, 4-3. There's not much I can really say about that. I would still play the colorless version. You want to go 4 colorless. There's no real reason to play the Dragon type anymore. Plus another Manaphy. Manaphy is really good in here. You really do want to be able to retreat a lot. Reuse Rayquazas, whatever. If a Hooper gets Lysander, you can chuck a Water Energy. Manaphy's ability allows you to retreat. They count Lysander and Hex Maniac in 1 turn, so you should be alright there. Also, if something like Parallel City comes down, you can drop a Manaphy with knowing that you've got another one that you can play just as easy. And we've added a Bunnelby in here as well. I think Rototill is really good for being able to reuse Super Rods, being able to reuse things like your DCEs, even though you are playing the Special Charge. I think Bunnelby is really good. Most of the times it's probably just going to be a bench hitter, but getting back those Super Rods after a Parallel City or 2 is really good. Even just getting back like a Hooper or something. If your opponent's down low, you could probably burrow twice or something. I don't think you'd be doing that much. The support account has stayed the same with 1 change, and that was dropping the N and adding in a Pokemon Ranger. Ranger's really good in here. It can get rid of a lot of things, mainly Giratina's Chaos Wheel. If a Giratina player was to do Parallel City and then Chaos Wheel, there's not much you can do except for Ranger here. So I think Ranger's probably your best bet in this deck anyway. There's a different Rayquaza build which I'll be looking at over the next couple of days, which I think doesn't really need Ranger in it. But I still think, you know, Ranger in this particular build is pretty much needed, mainly for that Giratina, maybe for like a Stardust Jirachi, but I think Giratina is probably going to be the big one here. We have added a 4th Rayquaza Spirit Link, because we are now playing a 4 Rayquaza. You do need that 4th Spirit Link. I feel you do anyway. There's not much I can really say about that. You don't want to be playing 4 Rayquazas with only 3 links. You do need that 4th in here. We've added another energy, so we're now playing 5 basic energies. This is just so, because we are playing 2 Manaphy's, I think having 5 energies, it might seem like a bit much for now, and I might change it back down to 4. It also does increase our chances of being able to Acrobike it away, or having it in our hand to Ultra Ball it away as well. That's a possibility. So 5 energies. So those are the cards changed. Now we've got 3 different cards that you could really fit into this deck. Starting with a 4th Trainer's Mail. You could go 4th Trainer's Mail with this. Not a bad option at all. Just make some room for these cards here. So you've got the 4th Trainer's Mail. Just to add consistency to the deck, really. There's not much you can say about Trainer's Mail. If you're going to be playing 4 Trainer's Mail, you know, it's good. I don't know how necessary 4 Trainer's Mail is. We do also have these Acrobikes which can fetch us some cards as well. So maybe the 4th Trainer's Mail isn't the best option, but it's still an option that you could take. We have Hex Maniac, a 2nd Hex Maniac. We know Quasar was a very good deck, and I think being able to turn 1 Hex with Rayquaza is very good, especially if you are going first. You can slow your opponent down a lot. So maybe the second Hex Maniac, also to prevent things like Giratina, once again, being a pain. You can't attack a Giratina, you need a Hex. If there's a lot of Giratina in your meta, in your local area, if you go into a big event and you're expecting a lot of Giratina, I would recommend this second Hex Maniac over any other card. And finally, Escape Rope. Just because we're not playing that Float Stone, if you really don't want to be stuck with a Hooper active or something, you can play that Escape Rope down, switch out your active Pokemon. Also forces your opponent to switch, which can sometimes be really good, especially if they've got like 2 bench Pokemon and the other ones are 2 Pokemon in play, they've got their active and a Shaman on the bench. Escape Rope can bring up that Shaman. You can also just put your opponent in a bad situation if they know they're going to get knocked out. They really have to decide which Pokemon to put up. So I think any of these 3 cards would be fine. These are the 3 that I think will probably best fit this deck. This deck could benefit from any of these 3. It just depends on really how you want to play it. It's consistency versus medical versus just an interesting deck. Like, it's really up to you where you want to put this card in. I was leaning myself towards Hex Maniac. I think turn 1 Hex with Rayquaza is just too good. Especially when you have such an explosive first turn and you just Hex your opponent. Especially in things like Mewtwo, which are quite reliant on that Hooper, or opposing Mega Rayquaza matches, which are again reliant on Hoopers and Shamans. If in the mirror match you're playing that 2 Hex Maniac and they're playing the 1, you're probably going to have the advantage, especially if you're able to chain Hex a lot. That would be very good in the mirror match. But yeah, you can take this deck really wherever you want to go. You could drop the water back down to 4th and add 2 of these cards if you wish. It's really up to you. That's how my take on Water Quasar anyway. Again, not the best Mega Rayquaza deck that is out there, but still probably one of the most talked about Mega Rayquaza lists. We're going to be doing a couple more videos on this. It's going to be a 3-part series, so I'll do this video today, one tomorrow, and one the day after, of different Mega Rayquaza builds, and just talking about Mega Rayquaza in general. I think it's definitely the second best deck in Standard. From what I've tested anyway, I don't think there's anything that really... I think Mega Mewtwo is probably the top of the tier right now, and then followed closely by Mega Rayquaza. It honestly depends on the Rayquaza player versus the Mewtwo player, and who's smarter and who can really... put themselves in a better position to win. I don't think it's entirely Mewtwo's favour, despite playing those parallel cities. There's certain cards that you could play to help the matchup sway in your favour. We're also going to be taking a look at Mewtwo, hopefully sometime this week, if not next week. If you enjoyed this video, guys, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff. Like us on Facebook, and check us out on Instagram. I'm going to be starting to post a lot more there as well. Just posting lists and stuff and things I play at tournaments or leagues or something. That is Mega Rayquaza Water. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.